I'm so out of touch. I'm so far away from anything that means anything to me. I'm so very down. No one is around. No one ever looks to find me. I am lost and never found. I don't know what to do. I've been looking out for you, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna find the lover that I dream will one day say to me, I'm never gonna ever leave your side. I guess it's true. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. Oh, I'm unlovable. I am all alone. My heart is made of stone. My heart is heavy in my chest. I wear it best when I'm alone. I am all alone, out here on my own, watching people love each other, one another. Where's my love? I don't know what to do. I've been looking out for you, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna find the lover that I dream will one day say to me, I'm never gonna ever leave your side. I guess it's true. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. I'm so broken up. I'm so out of touch. I'm so far away from anything that means anything to me. I don't know what to do. I've been looking out for you, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna find the lover that I dream will one day say to me, I'm never gonna ever leave your side. I guess it's true. I'm unlovable. Ghosts are haunting my house. They drift through my head. Some float through the upstairs, some sleep in my bed. My place is quite crowded with the echoes of the dead. Some smash on the things and break all the glass. Some simply just wail while others distract me with the songs they sing of things that could have been. The dead, they wait to take me out tonight, but I stay inside. The dead create a little pain each night, and I hold it quite tight. Yes, I hold it in my heart. That's where it belongs. There's dead all around, as packed as can be. There's nowhere to go and there's no getting free. The dead call my name in shame, I answer in the dark. They're whispering words of things I have done, of the hearts I have killed and the loves I have shunned. The stones that I throw, I know in time there will be blood. The dead, they wait to take me out tonight, but I stay inside. The dead create a little pain each night, and I hold it quite tight. Yes, I hold it in my heart. That's where it belongs. Someday soon I will be done for. Someday soon I will be done for. I can't run anymore. I won't run anymore. Stay inside. The dead, they wait to take me out tonight, but I stay inside. The dead create a little pain each night, and I hold it quite tight. Yes, I hold it in my heart. That's where it belongs.
Hey, all right, there we go. Hey, so so good to see everybody. So this is I'm not gonna be doing music today. Yeah, I did. I shaved it. I shaved it about a month ago because it was just getting infuriating. It was so long. I tried to make an appointment with my regular hairdresser, a woman that I at least trust to kind of like, because my curls, they're really easy to fuck up. You know, like they definitely over a few days they look fine no matter what you do to them. I could literally take like a razor and just go straight across my head and have like do a landing strip and it still look fine in a few days. You know, but I didn't want to have to train. But you know, so I reached out to my hairdresser and I'm like, hey, can you? And she's like, oh, my salon is closed. They raised the rent and now I need a new one. And I don't know if I'm going to get a new one. I don't even know if I think I might retire. So I was like, oh, well, that sucks. So rather than going and finding somebody, and she was super cost effective. Like it was like $40 for a haircut. So the nearest thing I can find, or like the closest place I can find that actually I know does a legitimate job is like at least like $80 to $100 a haircut. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to shave it. And so I shaved it, and there you go. It was gone. So. Yeah. And so it's nice. You know, it's been nice. I haven't had my hair this short in about 20 years. I think it was 2001 or 2002 was the last time I shaved my head. So pretty awesome. And we're going to be joined in just a moment by my buddy Eric Summer. I see. Oh, no, there he is. Hey, hold on. There. Hey, wait. There we go. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's great. Currently bald is awesome. You know, but yeah, so my hair, hey, Smarties, how you doing, man? My hair grows so fast. I don't really sweat it, you know? So, all right, let me do some, oh, is that the actual, that is the actual thing. Okay, good. Yeah, cool, man. How you doing, Eric? Can you be heard? It looks like you're muted.
I did mute myself.
Oh, okay, there you go. Awesome. Cool. How you doing, man? How was your Christmas?
Weird.
Weird. Why weird? That's why weird.
Okay. Well, so here's how it worked. Kate came up here. I'm in Cambria right now in our new house that we bought.
Awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, he plays a viola. Yes.
So Kate came up about a week before I did. She just wanted to, like get some stuff settled, move some stuff in, that kind of stuff. the day before I left, she texted me and was like, "Hey, my mom's got COVID."
Oh God.
And so I came up anyway because I was like, well, I'm either going to be by myself in South Pasadena or I'm going to be by myself in our new house.
Yeah.
So Kate and her mom and sister, all of whom have or had COVID during this time, they're all at Kate's mom's place, and I've been here in our house by myself the entire time.
Oh geez. Oh yeah.
And
So that is awful. That's I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Well, I've had Misha. Misha came up with me, so that's
Yeah. Good.
not. And I got sick 3 or 4 days ago with something that was not COVID, but was probably a cold.
Yeah, that's in fact that's I am. We just had I've been hyper vigilant. I've never had COVID. I've been hyper vigilant because I know it's a respiratory thing, and because I sing, I don't want to. I know that there's a good chance I'm triple boosted. I had my original vaccine and I've had 3 boosters since, but so I know I'm in a pretty good position to, like, if I get exposed, I'll probably be okay. Even if I contract it, I'll probably be okay. But it's still a crapshoot, And occasionally, I've done enough role playing gaming to know that every now and again I will roll on 100-sided die. I will roll a 1, and it will be a complete. And so I'm like, I don't want to gamble with the fact that I may or may not be able to sing, or that it might significantly impact my lung capacity, and stuff like that. So I've been hyper vigilant, but. Over the Christmas weekend, we were hanging out. What's that?
You're gonna blow your saving roll.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's exactly. So, over the weekend, over the holiday weekend, over the Christmas weekend, we did Christmas Eve, with Brian Bristwood's family, which was awesome. And then on Sunday, we all did like a Christmas like a Christmas Day party. With like Justin and Brian and a bunch of friends, and it turns out that later that night at 3:00 in the morning, Bonnie, Brian's wife, who was hanging out at both places, she was like, "Oh, I just tested positive for COVID," because she had just spent a whole week, 10 days, I think 10 days, 9 days, 8 or 9 days, doing the Armadillo art show, So I was like, oh fuck, in fact, I don't even know if I should even say that. Fuck. Anyway, I just realized. Please, if you guys, anyway, So we were in close proximity. We don't know exactly what's going on. I don't, oh no, she didn't. It might have been a false positive as well. So it was on. She said it happened on Sunday. It was like the little COVID test. Like it showed up just slightly, it wasn't like vibrant, like yes. So I've been living in abject terror. I'm like, okay, well, who knows? But it's been 5 or 6 days. That was on Sunday, and it's been fine now. So maybe I'll be all right. I don't know. Who knows? I guess I've got 14 days, but yeah. But I'm like, fuck it.
Like, who knows how many times I got exposed. And didn't get it. Like I'm double boosted, but
yeah,
I did. Kate and I both caught Delta like a year and a half ago.
Oh God.
And for me, it was nothing. I'm like super lucky that way. Kate was out for like a week, and I had didn't really even have any symptoms. I was kind of tired for a day, and then was done.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's and it's funny. And Panda Quinn, I my family traditionally has been very resistant to all sorts of infectious diseases. My family has a tendency to have intense allergies, and then we just don't catch colds or other illnesses. We have every kind of cancer, and we have every kind of heart disease and diabetes, like all of the lifestyle things we have in the fucking spades. But getting a cold, catching things of that nature. Yeah, So I don't know. Whatever. It just is. It is what it is. But I wouldn't have traded it. Like even if I caught it, it was still, that weekend was just super, super fun. It was nice to just be amongst family and friends for both of the days. I'm sick, but no positive test so far. Oh yeah. That's, and I know Bobcat. I know that's been going around, and it's really funny because I keep running across people that are sick, and I'm like, oh, is it COVID? And they're like, no, it's so I know there is some sort of flu or some sort of cold that is hopping around, that just seems to There's a super cold. Dun, dun, dun. Look in the air, and this is. Look, is it a plane? Is it? No, what was it? What were the things? What was this Superman's thing?
It was bird, plane.
It's a bird. It's a plane. Yeah.
Like for which, of course, the observation is, what the fuck were those two first guys so excited about?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean a bird? Look, it's a bird.
No. Yeah. like look here. Hey everybody on the street. Like maybe they exist. Yeah, maybe they exist in some weird bizarro world universe where birds are like, there's like 8 birds, and so when you see one you're like, oh my god. Yeah.
Superman's presence in the world just basically kills off all birds except for a few.
Yeah. That's
something about the Kryptonian DNA floating around just killed most birds. And downs most planes, I guess.
So what's been you spent all of Christmas sort of on your Todd. I mean, I'm certain you did like video stuff with everybody, right? Like you.
Yeah, we did. We dropped off gifts at each other's places. And
cool.
Did a Zoom present opening thing, which was cool. And then, yeah, and Kate and I, talk basically every day.
Yeah.
And I think tomorrow we're considering that she is okay. I think we're actually going to do something for New Year's Eve, like in person. So I think everybody should be clear by then. I think that's how that plays out. So yeah, it's been very strange because not only has that been happening, like one of my favorite things to do up here in Cambria is to take big long walks around town and like across the branch, and it's been so rainy the last couple of days that I couldn't do that either.
Oh,
which is a drag, but it's also like Cambria has big drought problems, so the water is very good for my new hometown, but yeah, it's been a little bit of a drag that I couldn't do my walks and like I couldn't do much except
stay in the house.
Yeah, well, like one good thing that happened when Kate got up here, she got this enormous TV, and so I've been watching.
Yeah, so in fact, that's I wanted to ask because I know which is funny because I know when you first were getting into the gaming industry, I was like, dude, you're never gonna play games ever again. The moment you start working in that, you're gonna stop playing games altogether. And you're like, yeah, you're like, but I know, but you were like, yeah, but I really like games. I was like, well, that's gonna change. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. That's why I felt comfortable getting that job in the first place, is because I'd already had music ruined for me.
Oh yeah.
Games were always a thing that I liked. I very much enjoyed them. I was like, I can lose this if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
transition to career.
It's funny. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and games, they're just such a time sink. As much, I mean, and of course, like I will never walk away. Oh, hey, that's awesome. And there you go, Ian. That's great. Whoever, thank you, the anonymous gifter of the sub to Ian. That's very kind of you. But yeah, it's funny. Like there are game franchises that I absolutely adore, and I will never watch. Like if they keep putting out Dragon Age games, and as long as they maintain, even they could probably ratchet down the storytelling by about 40%, and I'd still be like, yeah, I'm gonna play this game and I'm gonna play it nonstop until I've completed everything and played it from every kind of character's perspective, and like I'm just gonna do a completionist thing on the story, like. So I there are those games that I still feel that way about, but I am finding that I'm not seeking out new franchises the way I used to. I'm not really digging in and like exploring the way I used to. And it's sad because but even so, I've been hearing about from people like, oh, this RPG, because I'm a big RPG guy. I like long involved story. And they're like, and they'll be like, oh, this one's really, really cool. And then I'll try it out and be like, no, this is not, this is not.
Yeah, I hardly ever, I do not play any game that I don't work on now.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. So I don't even really know what's going on in gaming these days. At most I'll learn a couple of months late about whatever new platform is coming out, because I'll end up having to test something on it.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of it. And there's, in the last 5 or 10 years of me doing that job, there's been a spare handful of projects that I've worked on that I've really liked the game.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, which is funny because I do. I mean, Square Enix has their fucking fingers in so many goddamn pies. It's like. I mean, there's anime that I keep encountering, and I'm like, there's a Square Enix tag at the front end of this. Like what? Like
Their production arm is large.
Yeah. They just do so much, and there's like so many different degrees of quality. So there's like they have their prestige things are at least, I mean, again, I haven't played a lot of the prestige stuff, but like the prestige stuff in the eyes of the gaming world, they're like, oh my god, it's amazing. But then there's some other stuff like, what was it, Infinite Undiscovery? Was that the one? Yeah. I was like, really? Why? This is people. I guess this is obviously like a way to like keep people, like they're like, we're gonna keep you on between projects. We're gonna make this faux game.
I mean, like, and honestly, even if that was all it was, fine. Like, keep me employed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that really, truthfully, if that would make sense for me. Because it makes sense to like be like, oh, we're gonna invest in this weird kind of idea of a game and just see what happens because we want to keep these people on staff and we need 6 months to get them through to the next big project. Like that makes perfect sense for me. But man, that game was very, very bizarre. And then Infinite Undiscovery, like what kind of title is that? Like people are gonna be like, oh my god, that sounds so amazing, Infinite Undiscovery. Like
yeah, it's the kind of thing that sounds like it means something once you first hear it, and then you parse it a little bit.
Yeah, you're like
fucking nothing.
Yeah, what does this mean? Yeah.
Or like it's the kind of thing that you think of a title and you run it through translation back and forth like a couple of times. Like, let's go Chinese to Japanese to Turkish to English and see what we come up with.
Yeah. That's yeah, and it is, and Bobcat, yeah, and really truthfully, and it's funny because I do think that the Japanese pride themselves, like looking at a bunch, because Isabella is at so close to being a weebo that to the average layman, they could not distinguish between the two. I know she resents and denies the appellation, but even so, like, the thing is, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if it talks like a duck and if it walks like a duck and if it has feathers like a duck, maybe it's a goose, but probably not. Probably not.
Yeah. If the spiky hair and enormous sword fits, then
yeah. So, but and so she's been turning me on to all sorts of, which has really been awesome. I watched the entirety of Bleach. Have you seen Bleach? Do you know Bleach?
I've heard of it. I don't think I ever actually watched it.
It's 400 episodes. It's 366 episodes. Plus they're now doing a new series, and the new series I think is 13 episodes. So it's like there's 375. Yeah, it's so, and we literally just powered. And it's something that she doesn't, that she doesn't, Isabella doesn't like to do marathon stuff. Like she doesn't like to just sit and watch shows for 8 hours, which I totally understand and respect. And I totally get that. But and we did, there's a bunch of filler arcs, but even the canon stuff, like there still had to have been 200 episodes, and so we just powered through it. And it was, it's fun. Although I do have to say, because it's what do they call it, a shonen jump? It's just a big fighting thing, and these fights would last like 9 episodes, and I'm like, what the. When is this fight going to be over? This is fucking horseshit. And the guy would be like, oh, you killed me, except for the fact that I got an extra power, a power that makes me even more powerful, and I'm all refreshed and ready to kick your ass. And then everybody in the fight does the exact same thing. I'm now extra more powerful. And like, what the?
Yeah, the like Dragon Ball Z method. Which I used to watch that. Afternoons when I was in college, and it was infuriating because you couldn't binge them.
Yeah.
So it'd just be like, seriously, 1 out of every 3 episodes at least, I would feel so ripped off that, okay, so he just stood there and powered up the entire fucking time. Why did I just watch that?
yeah.
I didn't need to see that.
Yeah, and real quick, Manchita says, I love Shonen Knife. In fact, I've caught Shonen Knife, I think 4 times in my life. Like they're an absolutely spectacular band. But the genre of it's like the anime genre that involves like fighting and leveling up and fighting and like it's just it's just two guys are like, I will kill you, and the other guys are, I will kill you, and then they fight and he's like, oh no, you're about to kill me, except for the fact that I'm now more powerful, I just leveled up and now I'm destroying you, and the other guys, oh no, he just leveled up, now he's beating me, oh but I just leveled up, and then it happens like 9 times over the 9 episodes. So
and Goku goes
for
10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
somebody off to the side is like, wow, his power is up around 9,800. Like, that's supposed to mean anything to me.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly. Yeah. I mean, which is so funny because the way my brain works when I'm watching that kind of stuff, the way my brain works is I will start building the framework. I'll be like, oh, okay, so this guy's at this power and this guy's at this thing, and they're like, and so I'll start assembling it all and be like, oh, like because that's just the way my brain operates. But it's just. I'm a little too old to have caught the anime thing other than Akira. Oh yeah, I mean, so yeah, and I get that, man. I mean, in fact, I actually have an Akira cell right downstairs. I am from that first generation. I mean, obviously, like I watch Shogun Warriors and G-Force and Ultraman, the live action Ultraman, and all the gods. Like I was sort of even though I'm a little bit too young to be like I wasn't. Of course, I wasn't born in the 50s, and which is when they first started like importing some of that stuff over. But I was the first. I think the first of the Gen Z, the Gen X. Group that were like inundated with a lot of that stuff, and that's when the toys were starting to show up. I mean, I remember the big Shonen, the Shogun Warrior. Do you remember those? Yeah, the big action figures with like the little ejecting arms. There were 3 of them. Yeah, and they had the one guy had the little rocket that could not right, but it popped out of his head and he'd fly. It was an amazing looking little rocket. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I so wanted all of that stuff, but having grown up in Montana, I did not have easy access to it. Like, I wanted so badly to be able to watch G-Force because, like, my grandparents got me a puzzle of it once. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. Where do I watch that? And then we just couldn't because we only got like. We were lucky if we could get Fox back in those days.
Yeah. That in fact that was me too. Growing up in the Palm Springs area, we couldn't really get because it's an actual valley. It's a natural valley. It's surrounded on all sides by mountains. So even though we're kind of like reasonably close to LA. The mountains prevented reception. So I would like just in the mornings just to watch cartoons. I had a little black and white set, and I would like touch the antenna, and then I'd have a hanger with aluminum foil on it, and I'd stand around my room doing like this, and then I'd be like, oh, there we go, and I'd get the signal, and it'd be a clear picture, and I'd just stay there for like half an hour watching Felix the Cat or like watching. It's like this is how I watch TV. Oh, I just meant I was playing music and touring in the early '80s. Oh, that's awesome. No, that makes sense, Manchito. That's awesome. Yeah, no, and that does make sense. I mean that was the first. I know there was an earlier iteration of movies that kind of made it into the like the alternative worlds, like it was like the Castle Cagliostro and all of those. Like there was and Lupin, like the Lupin movies, and there was some stuff in like the 70s and 80s that kind of started to achieve some awareness in the in like the world of the American sort of like all indie or alternative world, but it wasn't until we were kids. Like for me, because I was born in 73, so I was 10 years old in 83, and I think Akira came out in 85. And of course I didn't catch it in theaters, but I saw it. I got a VHS of it in I think like 87, and then my life was forever changed.
I don't think I saw Akira until like late high school.
Oh yeah. That was me too. Yeah, I was not late, but I was in high school. The great thing is I had an awesome group of friends, and we would go into LA as a group, and we would just buy up different things, and then we'd copy them for each other. You know, so somebody buy a new CD, or not even a new CD, but like a new cassette, because it was cassettes back then, and we'd buy cassettes, and then we'd high speed dub it for everybody and hand it off, and we'd like, yay, you know. So I had no money, but everybody go and do stuff, and I'm like, can I get a copy? And they'd be like, yeah. So it's great.
Yeah, the stuff that I watched most, I think, was first of all, we taped the reruns of Faulty Towers off of PBS.
Awesome.
And I would watch that constantly.
Yeah, but which is very funny. That actually makes so much sense, because that it totally explains the foundational elements of your sense of humor. Like that's awesome. That's so great.
That's where that's from, is like watching Faulty Towers to the point of memorizing it, and then slightly later, like we wouldn't be able to get this at the house, I don't think, but whenever we were on a road trip, the hotel, you would occasionally stumble into Monty Python, so that was always a special little treat.
Yeah.
And then
no. So wait, when you saw Monty Python, you were like, oh, it's the guy from Faulty Towers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's great.
I had no sense of the time frame at all. And then like Connie Booth pops up in some Monty Python stuff, and I didn't know that was way after Monty Python had broken up and done all the movies and everything.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so you know, that is awesome. But let's get to the to your music. So this is a continuation for those of you that are just tuning in. So Eric is a viola player, and he's also a composer, and he's an indie rocker. Like he wears many hats, but he started a few years ago. He started making his own music. And that was a pretty big deal, and we'll have you talk about this in just a second. Before, Eric, like me, like a handful of my friends, not all a lot of my friends are like fucking, like, I'm a fucking rock and roll guy, and hell yeah, you know, that was never really me. You know, the thing is, like, I wanted to be that guy, but I had to fucking really work at it, and that's in fact that I created the Mike TV persona so that I could slip into that skin and be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to fucking rock. But even so, I knew, particularly back in the day, I knew my music was so rudimentary. It was so just like you know, the same bar chords, and it was mostly like 1-4-5 or, you know, or 1-3-7. It was just, but it was super simple. I knew that I just constantly felt like a second class musician. But I also felt like if people like my stuff, I somehow just managed to bamboozle them. And any second now, they were going to listen to it and be like, "Oh, this is terrible. What were we thinking? This is terrible." You know. And so that's and that's I'm not going to ascribe it to Eric, but the thing is, I know that Eric himself had you had some kind of hang-ups about making your own music and making it available to the world. I know that from our time together in the band.
Yeah, well, I'm first of all, I always had a lot of stigma, I think, around making stuff of my own. I'm sure, like, a couple of sessions with my therapist to be able to pinpoint where that comes from. But I know what it is. I always felt really, really defensive about showing any kind of vulnerability. Like, I always felt embarrassed when anybody actually saw an actual part of, you know, like, my inner life or whatever. For whatever reason, that always felt dangerous and embarrassing. And because, you know, I guess it is. So I like, add to that the fact that I have never in my life really felt like I fit any place, which was, especially in the rock and roll context, was compounded by the fact that I was the viola player in this.
Yeah.
Nobody really quite knew what to make of me. I never quite knew what I was supposed to be doing, and I always looked like a weird anomaly on stage. Like, it's not a cool looking instrument to play, and it's delicate and fragile, and you can't
you can't rock out. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. This thing cost $30,000, and if I ding it, it's going to cost me $2,500 to replace the whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, well, I mean, and it's certainly no accident that the first topic of my first album that I wrote was, you know, like, isolation and alienation and loneliness, and, you know, like all those things that I've basically felt for roughly 47 years now.
And in fact, yeah. So Eric, a few years ago, he starts writing songs, all kind of built around a theme. It started pre-pandemic, but it was mostly made in the pandemic. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started it before the pandemic, but I definitely like finished it during I think maybe I had written slash recorded 2 or 3 songs out of the 10 before the pandemic hit, and then pandemic hit, and I had nothing to do and nowhere to be. So I was like, well, I guess I might as well do this all day then.
And there was because you were sort of obviously sort of attached to your house, and Kate was up in Cambria. So he came up with all sorts of clever ways in which he built. He just used home instruments, like he used wine glasses, and he used the wall. He beat on the wall, and he used the litter box, and so the first album, which you can find on Bandcamp, it's called Metal Lark, and it's an amazing record. But it's definitely very, very kind of homespun, homegrown, lo-fi, kind of like early Guided by Voices, or there's a band in our scene called Boxing, and they had an album that was like. They had like 25 songs on it. It was I loved it. It was amazing, but it was one of those things where like every other song was, you're like, what am I listening to? And then it go into like a cool pop song. That's yours is a little bit more coherent than that, but it has the same kind of aesthetic. It feels very much like you have somehow managed to like sneak up to the window and you're listening to somebody as they're like making music in their house just for themselves, kind of thing. And I love that. Like I love that feeling of like there's a weird intimacy to like when you're doing stuff at home, and when you're like that's in fact that was one of the things that I've tried to capture over and over. Like Vermicious K, when we were doing 4-track recordings, because you couldn't, with a 4-track, you can't like track everything simultaneously. Like even we got the basic tracks of the drums and the bass together, but everything else was like overdubbed. So we would just hand off the 4-track and so you would hear like, people would be like, and of course we didn't take it that seriously. So we're like, when there's laughter and we're talking or there's some other sounds in the background, and we're like, fuck it, that's a good take. Like I sang in key, so I'm going to keep that one, even though there's like sounds of cars, but so there's just this, it creates this like sense of like, oh, this has been captured. It's like, it just feels like it's of the moment, like it doesn't like a lot of recordings kind of feel like they're from their era, but they don't feel like, I can hear them actively recording it. It feels like, it's being captured right there,
Well, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do too, because like I knew how to, for instance, by that point, I knew how to compose in the sort of classical idiom.
Yeah.
I knew that was an aspect I could control pretty much to the degree that I wanted to, and I could more or less control my performances because I can play the viola and I can sing fine. And what I didn't know how to do on guitar, I knew how to write around.
Yeah.
And sort of like salvage through like trickery. What I didn't really know how to do is record anything. I'd taken like a semester class in college, but it like by the time I started doing this, like this stuff that I learned kind of didn't apply anymore because I was using like GarageBand with my one laptop and one single microphone and what have you. So that was like one of the parameters that I needed to have was like, okay, this, whatever I do recording wise, I'm going to leave it as well as I can do it at the moment. So when I look back on the various things I've recorded, I can chart my progress at the very least.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that I kind of can. Like,
I know. In fact, that is why I don't go. There's so many mistakes, particularly when I moved to Austin and started putting out records on my own. It was the first time I was responsible for every sound. And so I was like, so I made stuff that sounded cool to my ears, and then now, of course, as I got a little bit better at arranging and a little bit better at playing, I'm like, oh shit! Like I hear there's fucking there are things that when I listen to them, I just cringe and I go, I want to fix that, but. At the same time, it's also a part of my legacy. It's a part of my journey, and it's a footstep you know, now the music I'm making, I could not have gotten there had I not made those mistakes back then. And I want to make sure that there is a record of that where people can follow my progress. People can hop in and be like, oh yeah, this this is like, so as people get deeper, I mean, if this ever happens, but I'm figuring at some point in time, there'll be thousands of rock historians that will be specializing in Mike TV's music. I'm thinking that that's probably going to be the case. I'm figuring that like if there's a percentile die roll, it's probably like in the upwards of the high 80%. So and when
definitely be thousands in that.
Yeah.
In one little narrow. Yeah, there's thousands just for you, probably.
Yeah. That just specialized. Yeah, like doctorates in I have a doctorate of music with a specialization of Mike TV's music. Yeah, but
I'm majoring in Mike TVology.
Yeah, yes. Mike TVologist. But you know, that thinking about that, like, you know, there is, for me at least, you know, I think that it's important to like leave, and if people do pay attention, if people do, like, you know, if people know anything about music and they listen, they'll definitely hear I was doing a little drum roll that should have been triplets, but I just didn't understand what triplets were, so I just put things in thinking it sounded okay, you know, and then 6 months later I was like, oh shit, this is the way I should have done it, but I'm like, no, I'll just leave it in there, you know. Hey Boone, how you doing, man? Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, it's like a very long time ago, I read Robert Rodriguez's book on filmmaking.
Oh yeah,
and he's talking about how he was making El Mariachi, and like whenever it came to something that he kind of thought he fucked up or he didn't know what to do, he was just like, it's stylistic, whatever.
yeah, right. Yeah, and you know, and it sort of is, because the thing is, like, because we are defined by our limitations, right? And so you take all of your ignorance, and you go, okay, well, it still sounds cool to my ears, like if it still looks good, or it still feels cool, like all right, so it's fine, you know. And so Boone's here. I'm certain. Have you ever met Boone?
Oh, not in person, but I've certainly seen him on your stream. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do an introduction at some point in time. But
yeah. So that's like, and also like, when I listen to stuff, which granted is infrequent these days, but whenever I do, I like sort of being able to chart that course too. Like, that's some of the interesting stuff for me, especially with music that is made to be recorded. Like, for instance, the thing that I am going through right now, listening wise, is I've decided to listen to all of Frank Black's post-Pixies stuff.
Oh, cool.
And Robert Pollard's non-guided by voices stuff.
Oh,
just
cool.
because there's a ton of both of those things, and I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to see how they sort of progress and why they might go the directions they go, and like, you know, like you can certainly tell with Robert Pollard from album to album, like, oh, he got bored with this thing, so he's, you know, so his producer is playing all the instruments on this one. Or there's one called Superman is a Rocker, I think it's called, where it's him taking like snippets and unfinished guided by voices stuff and adding vocals to it as if it's a real song, and sort of kind of finishing. But the thing is, like, they're terrible.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
They do not work, not a single one of them. But it's still like, I'm still glad I listened to that. It's still interesting because that gives me license to do that kind of shit if I want to.
I mean that's, you know, and it is, and it's funny. Like, the thing is I think that if you're a fan, if you're certainly, if you're a Fairweather fan, if you like somebody's hits because they're hits, which is most, like, that's and really truthfully, and it's funny because I say that as from the perspective of admonishing people, but at the same time, I do the exact same thing. So, you know, so I can't really, but the thing is, but if you're a legitimate fan, and you say, like, if you're like, I love this band, and I love, like, if you love that band and you love the artist that made that music, it's kind of incumbent upon you, in my estimation, to kind of follow them throughout, see, like, maybe you can't do it all the time, but at some point in time, you should always go back and check, well, where have they gone since last we were hanging out and they were living in my ears all day long, you know? And the thing is like, just because it's like, because the perspective that excited you back then, you know, in order for you to hear their new music and really get it, you have to kind of bridge the gap, you know? You kind of have to listen to all the albums and all the music that was made between then and there to really kind of understand where they, you know, how they got there, you know?
Well, I was reading an article about this a while ago, and I've kept this with me too. Like, one of the main reasons that you'll have throughout history, like these great artistic sort of periods in certain locales, like for instance, Austria in the 1800s, you know, you've got Mozart and Haydn, like in Shakespeare's time, all these great playwrights. One of the main reasons that kind of thing can happen is because they lived in a time and a culture that was very, very tolerant of the idea of artistic failure.
Yeah, yeah.
People could try whatever the fuck they wanted. It wouldn't really damage their career at all. Like, I mean, shit, look at all of the stuff that Da Vinci started and never finished.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
People commissioned stuff from him, and it was just kind of like expected that, like, he just might not finish this because he's a fucking weirdo. And it was fine. So that's how you get Da Vinci's and Mozart's and Shakespeare's is like the idea that any perceived mistake by whatever factor anyone is judging you, like, it's not that big a fucking deal.
Yeah.
You can address that later maybe, or learn from it, other people do.
Yeah, you know, and the idea is that, like, that having, you know, finding creative inspiration for a moment and doing something and following a certain path for a little while, and then realizing, oh, this is not the path I want to go down. The thing is, particularly if you are in the weeds, right? If you're doing things where there is, like if you just want to like write Bon Jovi songs and then play you want to write 10 Bon Jovi style songs and play those 10 songs ad infinitum until you become a huge band and then you live forever. Like the thing is, there's a million bands that have done that, and there's definitely a well-worn, well-rutted road for how to do that and what you can and can't do. You know, like, so but even
if that's what's interesting to you, then sure.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, and there's all sorts of, like, you know, and it's like you basically go, the thing is like the reason why I use Bon Jovi is because they were at their time, they were ultimately celebrated. They've written some amazing songs. And then they are now like when they play live, they do perfect renditions of their albums, right? So you show up and what they play is exactly what you hear on the record, you know, and they're there and they're fucking rocking out and they're playing exactly, and that is awesome. That's amazing for them, and that's awesome, and that's exactly what their audience expects. And for me, that would be fucking the soul death. Like I would want to fucking immediately, like, I'd want to commit suicide in like 6 or 7 different ways just to make sure that I actually am dead, you know.
I was just watching. Have you ever seen Judd Apatow's documentary on Gary Shandling?
No. Did he do it? Wait, Judd Apatow did a documentary on Gary Shandling?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Right after he died, I think. It's great. It's like a 2-part. It's like the one he did on George Carlin. It's like 4 hours long.
Awesome.
And there was one part in it where they were talking about like the height of the Larry Sanders Show, which the documentary made me want to rewatch, and I am now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. We're actually doing the same thing. Isabella's never seen it, so we're watching. Yeah, it's great. It's such a fun show.
But like at the height of that show, there is a clip of him walking through the hallways on that set that they show where he's just going, "I hate this fucking show. I hate this fucking show.
Yeah.
I hate this show. I hate this fucking show." It's like, I totally understand. And that's also like the reason all of his friends were postulating that he never actually took that late night job that they were offering him that Conan O'Brien took, is because he didn't want to get stuck in the rut of like, I'm doing exactly the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
That would have been like just the most fucking boring thing for his brain.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And some people love that. Like some people love the fact that like it's so crazy. Each person gets into art for different reasons, and as they do whatever they do that's public facing, or maybe it's not even public facing. Like you know, I mean, like certainly Emily Dickinson wasn't writing poetry because she was like, yay, people are going to like love this stuff at some point in time, you know. But the thing is that each person gets into it for different reasons, and those different reasons are just as valid as everybody else's reasons, you know. And so you know, and I think that there is, as you're saying, that it being okay to fail. I think that that's something that is that is often overlooked or missed. Is like, you know, like. I think a lot of people work really hard for a little while, and they do stuff and then they don't achieve what they think they were gonna achieve when they set out, and then they just give up. And I'm like, so they put in all this effort and they did all this work and they did all these things, and certainly certainly there are some people like I certainly have some friends that are inveterate, hardcore, like just full tilt songwriters that write music that for me is not my taste, you know, like, and they've been doing, and like, you know, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. And I'm like, yeah, man, just keep at it. That's awesome. And they'll send me stuff and I'm like, and I'll listen to it and I'll be like, this is what I like about it. But almost invariably, it's just where they go melodically and what they do lyrically. It's not to my taste, you know? And the thing is it like, so for me, it's hard to be encouraging in ways that convey how much of a fan of their music I am, because I'm not. But the thing is that like, but even so, the thing is like, for me, it's always exciting to know that they're there and they're continuing to do it. And I'm like, you're gonna find your audience, man. Like, just keep at it. You know, like, just keep. You know, the thing is like, and it doesn't, and really, truly, the audience doesn't even really matter. You know, just keep doing it. If you love to do it, just do it. You know.
Yeah. To me, it never has. Like,
yeah.
I started doing this with the expectation that I would never make any money off this.
Yeah.
The entire reason I allowed myself to do it in the first place is because I wanted to, and I was no longer afraid to do it.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, and I suppose I probably could put more energy into publicizing stuff, or even like posting more than once on social media when I do anything. But like, the upshot is like, that's not the fun part for me.
Yeah.
The fun part is done. Like, in fact, most of the fun part for me is done before I even start recording it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I realize the necessity of recording it and releasing it in some capacity. That's the logical end of the process. So I have to.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly like recording that much.
Really? Huh? Yeah.
There's sort of a weird curve. I love the writing part. Like, up here is when the writing is done. Starting recording sucks and bottoms out like around here. And then it does another upturn when I hear the finished product of stuff.
Yeah. Which is funny. Yeah, that for me, getting all the basic tracks. So, and for me, the basic tracks are, because I always start with the acoustic guitars. So usually I'll write 40 or 50 songs or 100 songs. Like, I'll write a fuck ton of songs, and I'm like, all right, and then I'm like, I need to at least get some basic tracks for everything. So I'm like, I have to record all the guitars for everything, and I need them to be perfect. You know, and I want them to be doubled, left and right channel. So I have to go through the fucking grind, and that is thank God I've been doing it for so long. It's a discipline thing. I just sit down and I just do it. I just fucking power through it, and it's fucking terrible. But the thing is, like, but after that, once I've got those basics down, once I'm like, oh, let me figure out what I want to do with drums. You know, it's so fun to, like, because the thing is, because I don't show up with an idea of what I want for the drums. I create them in that moment. So I'm listening to the song, I'm like, what do I hear? You know, I'm like, oh, how would I make that happen? You know, and so it's fun. Like, I just start to like, and as I start assembling the drums, and it starts to sound good, and it starts to sound like what I'm like, that's amazing. Like, you know, so for me, it does become a, you know, it becomes a really fun, like, you know, I get to spend eight hours, if I'm, you know, like right now I'm working on Get Set Go number 23 to the 23rd album. It's fucking absurd, but, I'm working on Get Set Go number 23, and so like, I just, all the drums and bass are done, and I'm a little bit bummed. I'm like, fuck, man, because I was having so much fun, like, just coming up with like drums and bass, and like just coming, like, I'm like, I have my own rhythm section, and it's so crazy that now I feel way more confident than I ever did, and I now, like, you know, so yeah. Anyway, so it's funny, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I've always liked the recording process. It's so weird.
Well, this is another way. Like, you and I are opposites in many ways, but like, my process in making all these things is, like, I basically know how everything is going to sound before I start recording it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nuts. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I know you do, and that's so crazy to me because I mean, but again, but it's so amazing that that's the way your brain now, the way your brain works. And the thing is, and often I will hear things. In fact, it's really funny. Often when I'm writing a song, I will hear other parts that remain with me. Even years later, when I'm sitting down to record it, I'm like, oh, this is the part needs to go here because this is the part I heard way back in the day. So there is attributes like that, but for the most part, most of the song is just a complete mystery. And so it's so fun to like go, and which is great because what I get to do often is I get to go in, like sometimes I will do a full arrangement for the song and it sounds cool. It just doesn't sound as cool as I think it should. And then I'll just tear it all back down and I'll just rebuild it again and I'll just do something and I'll try to fuck with it. I'll be like, I'm just going to do something totally crazy, and almost invariably it ends up being even more amazing. I'm like, oh, this is so cool, yeah, it's such a weird, it's so weird that we attack it from such different directions, yet still end up with finished products that people dig.
Well, yeah, and I totally get, like, there is something very magical about being able to surprise yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not the way that I do it. Like I need to have like my methodology requires that I have basically 100% control of every single aspect of everything, or I won't do it. In fact, that actually is one of the things. In fact, that's one of the things that for me is really rankling in terms of the business side of music right now. Because I've noticed over the past year, I've noticed that Spotify and Facebook have been throttling what I do. Spotify is objecting based on my lyrical content because they have algorithms that cannot parse. I see that they think that Suicide is a pro-suicide song. They think that I Die Motherfucker Die is a pro-violent song, and that FUCK is a pro-violent song. So I see that they're looking at a lot of my music and they're being like, this guy, we do not want people hearing this music. And so they're shadow throttling my stuff, And so I've lost easily 50% of my listeners over the past year, Yeah, I mean, all this is one of the main reasons that I don't have anything to do with fucking Spotify. But the same thing with Facebook. So Facebook, that's where all my friends live, right? Like this is where we all left MySpace, we all migrated to Facebook. Here we all are, and I now and Facebook now wants, if I want to reach out to my friends and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, which everybody else gets to do. Everybody else gets to go, hey, I'm going to go to so and so's house this weekend, and everybody goes, yay, that's great. Like literally, I see a lot of my friends. I'll be like, I'm doing this, and there's hundreds of responses. Oh, that's great, have a good time. And I'll be like, oh, hey guys, I've got a new record, and there's no response. There's no like. There's not a fucking anything. I'm like, what is going on? It turns out Facebook wants me to pay to drill into my actual friends and family, because they're like, oh, you do something that we can make money off of. So fuck you. So that's been since my refusal to do any of that shit, because it's only going to bum me out.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly, and so it's really funny. So for me, I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, so do I like, obviously I'm not gonna suddenly like grow extra money. So I need to start eliminating a bunch of this stuff. I need to, because otherwise it will make making music not fun for me, and not a joy and not a joyful experience. So I'm like, all right, well then, so I'm thinking about I'm thinking about walking away from Spotify and from Facebook and all the other places and finding a different way to access the people. Like I'm gonna look for different avenues of which I can actually reach out to people that dig my music and find a new way to be like, look, this is the only way we can operate, because I need to remove. I'm sick of being beholden to companies that can just change their policies one day and suddenly my life is completely turned askew. So anyway.
Like we were talking about earlier with the video game job, like I have spent way more of my life than I would like not enjoying the thing that I love above almost everything else.
Yeah.
I spent way too much time doing that. So now, and this is partially thanks to the pandemic, like I have completely retooled that. So I basically, to whatever end, only do the stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah, and that's and really truthfully, man, the thing is that we're here for fucking we're here for like 6 seconds on this play. Like we might as well spend most of our time focusing on finding ways to be joyful and jubilant and happy and full of contented experiences, right? Because like we are already guaranteed all sorts of terrible experiences just by dint of being born. So why should we, so that's been one of the things I'm like, why am I didn't sign up for this bullshit. You know, the thing is that like, and it's not my, it has nothing to do with me that this industry is all fucked up. The thing is like, and if people like my music, then great. Then I'll be like, here, you can find it here. And you're going to have to do some homework, you know? You're going to, really truthfully, the homework is you fucking type into Google, get, set, go. Where the fuck are they? You know, and there's a million different ways you can find me. So fuck it, you know?
Yeah, my philosophy on all this stuff is, if you want to find me, you can.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I don't care.
Yeah.
Particularly at all. Like there, yes, Manchita is right that art cannot be judged like laying pipe. But the sad thing is that it can be monetized like laying pipe.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. The thing is that like, you know, so as to like maximize their, you know, to maximize the comfort of the fucking herd. You know, they're like, all right, we're going to remove any outliers. We're going to remove any art. We're going to remove anything challenging. We're going to remove anything scary. We're going to remove anything like.
Yeah. Or people will figure out, you know, like the exact time that maximizes clicks that a chorus kicks in, like your chorus kicks in within 38 seconds, which strikes me as fucking gross if it's not a consciously applied means of artistic expression.
That's exactly it. The thing is that like, in fact, it's really funny. I've been looking at all of these AI things that a lot of my friends on Facebook have, like, they're like, oh, I'm doing like, you know, and I have some friends that are coming up with, they're using AI and coming up with all sorts of, and they're really amazing images. And I'm like, that is amazing. But even so, what it's doing is it's like, okay, these are awesome images, but now the idea of intention, the idea of having a message that you want to convey is becoming even more crucial. Because now anybody. So if you're an artist, all you need to do is just if you want to be an artist, I just type in I want something drawn like so, like Dave, like I want a superhero that looks like it was designed by Dave Johnson, you know, like and dun dun dun. Suddenly 50 fucking superheroes show up. Like, are you fucking, but they're not, I guarantee you they're going to look to the layman, they look like they're Dave Johnson designs, but really truthfully, only Dave can do Dave Johnson designs, you know? And so.
Yeah, and it's completely meaningless and it's completely grotesque and it makes a joke of the entire process of actually learning how to do something artistically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know, but again, the thing is that like, I think that I think that it is going to be one of those kinds of things where, you know, it's funny because part of me is kind of excited about the idea that like somebody that can't play an instrument but hears music in their head, because when I was a kid, like I would listen to a song and I'd immediately do counterpoint melodies, you know, and I'd hear that song in my head and I'd be singing and adding new verses and adding new bits and hear it, like, you know, like that's just the way that, you know, the way that you know, the way that melody works and the way that counter melody works and the way that harmonies work and the way that meter works and the way that things cadence, like, you know, like, oh, did my stream die? No. What?
I don't know. I'm still here.
Wait. Oh.
Oh, although the Twitch isn't. Still loading on my end, but
no, it's.
Anyway.
All right, hold on. But yeah, let me give me a second. I'm gonna go grab a another drink real quick. Give me 1 second, and then let's. So anyway, yeah, man. So, you know, it's really funny. So it's so crazy because you and I have kind of like tackled this thing. You know, obviously neither of us are really great at being like, hey, like look at me and look at our cool new things and check, like, you know, the thing is that certainly I'm much better at that than you are. You know, the thing is like
everyone is much better at that.
Yeah. Yes. But you know, but you know, hey, Mr. Fish, how you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. But even so, I'm very comfortable like getting in front of people. I'm very comfortable being in front of crowds. I'm very comfortable talking about what I'm doing. But it's also very hard for me to be like, hey, what I do requires money and I need to survive. And can you kick down some cash? Or hey, I've got something for sale. It's a tough thing for me to pull off.
Yeah,
But
it sucks.
yeah, no, yeah. It's terrible, But even so, the thing is that like, there's still so much about the music business that fucking I can't stand. That I find is just fucking abhorrent, and I refuse to engage in a lot of it just because it's abhorrent, And so, and so it's funny. So I see you like you have similar impulses, like So we'll get into Eric's newest record in just a second. Because we were about halfway through it when last we were talking. But so Eric, he has a on Bandcamp. It's a 10-song album. It's to buy the album. It's $2 a song, so it's $20. So already that's like like he's like fuck yeah, like this is what it's worth in my estimation. Fuck you, like that's fucking great,
What I think it's worth, nobody else is going to tell me any differently.
Yeah. That's exactly right, and that's fucking awesome. The thing is like because that's what I'm saying. In order for the narrative to be changed, in order for people to start valuing music in the way that I think music should be valued, someone has to start saying, "Hey, man, you guys, sorry, dinks, you can't, it's not going to be $10 an album ad infinitum forever and ever and always. Like, sorry, like that, and the thing is like that's just not the way it's going to work, And music being free means that music has no value, If people are like, "Hey, if you're spending, anyway."
Yeah, it's a premise I reject wholeheartedly and never try to.
And so it's just but anyways, it's been crazy. So it's something that I'm spending a lot of time contemplating because I am seeing such a significant diminishment of my footprint. And again, it's not. I don't think it's because the music's bad. I don't think it's because people are lacking in interest or that the people that were fans have suddenly stopped being fans. I think it's literally just the companies that are my portals to the world are actively making choices that are fucking destroying what I do. And so I'm like, all right, well then if that's the case, then fuck it. I got to figure out a way to eliminate all of them. And so I'm in the process of figuring that out. But so I'm gonna go grab another drink real quick and then we'll come back and and so we were had we made it to Ash?
Let me think.
I think we did. Yes.
I think that was the last one we did.
Yeah,
yes.
we did. Okay, so we've got 4 more songs to go through. So give me 1 second.
All right.
Hold on. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Right. Here, I'm gonna take my one.
All right. All right.
Oh, so just to put a cap on that last topic.
Yeah.
So there's this American songwriting contest thing that I entered a few songs in. Because I figured, I'm bad at auditions for symphonies because I have to be there and be nervous and play and whatever. I was like, just submit a thing. I don't care. Fine. So I did. I submitted 3 songs from this last song cycle.
Awesome.
And like a month or 2 ago, the results came out. I didn't get anything. Fine. I was bummed. I'll admit.
Yeah.
But then I thought a little while, and I was like, you know what? They listed all the winners. Why don't I just listen to these, like all the ones that I can find, and see what they're like, see what I'm being compared to. So I listened to them, and what I found was there were very, very few of the winners and honorable mentions that I even liked.
Yeah.
So that made me feel a lot better. I was
of course.
Like, so we just like different things, like these judges. That's fucking fine. It's nothing personal. It's just that like we clearly have a different set of aesthetic values.
It's really funny. In fact, there was a hemophiliac group that actually was hosting a song contest, and I was brought in to be one of the judges. And I was like, and he was a regular on Twitch, and he was a nice guy, and so I was like, yeah, of course I'll do this, you know. And they were pretty like a substantive organization. They were pretty decent, like, you know, they were like I think the biggest hemophiliac sort of community, and you know, or whatever organization that deals with like kind of like hemophiliac awareness and you know, whatever. So
Oh, that's cool.
so yeah, so and it was something for the blood, but yeah, and so I was, you know, and so I was, you know, so they wanted me to judge the thing, and so I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm gonna judge it based on, like, I don't care about the recordings, right? The thing is, I'm just gonna judge it based on the composition, because it's a song contest. It's not, you know. So the thing is, so yeah, so there were some really terrible recordings of some really great songs, and so the ones I chose were I know, like, so not a single song I chose. Oh no, that's actually not so. There was one really fun song. It was lyrically cool. It was really cool, and I chose one that everybody seemed to hop in on. So but even so, the thing is like all the ones that actually won, so the ones that everybody else agreed on, they were just like the most polished and the most, like, you know, and the most like top 40s radio sounding stuff. And I was like, I'm like, but I was like, wait, what? The thing is this is a songwriting contest. It's not a how can we sound like we're on like it's because then it's just fucking production, man. It's like there was no like, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But again, the thing is, but that's because that's what non-musicians and non-music people hear. Like they go, oh, this sounds like everything else. So it is the best, you know. And I'm like, what? You know, that's, yeah.
I mean, like that's because like top 40 radio is not a songwriter's medium. It's
Yeah, no, yeah. And, you know, in fact, really truthfully, yeah, it is I hesitate to say McDonald's, because McDonald's is just, I mean, no, but it is McDonald's in the sense that there's just empty calories, you know. You know, occasionally there might be some new dazzling sauce on it, but mostly it's just empty calories, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like when I was in my 20s, I might have gone for that, but I'm older than that now, and I like a little bit of substance, or at least a hint of a perspective, or, you know, like something that's not necessarily going to sell.
Yeah, well, and because they just keep rehashing the same perspectives when you're a kid and you're hearing whatever, like the newest like hit. You're like, oh yeah, I've never heard this idea before. This is great, without realizing that this is just a chip of a chip of, so, you know, like, you know, going back a thousand clones, you know, later, until you get to the actual, like, the people that were coming up with these ideas, you know, like it's, you know. So anyway, but let's I don't want to get too Yeah. That's somewhat silly. Yeah, a slice of quality. So yeah, that's exactly it. So it's like, yes, okay. So it is still a pretty shitty burger, but hey, there's a fresh tomato. Awesome, I like it. Okay, so as we're saying, so Eric, hold on, sorry, he just disappeared. No, wait, hold on, where'd you go? It's right here. There we go. Did that bring you back? No.
Maybe.
How'd you disappear?
I don't know. Something got clicked.
Yeah. What? Hold on. What's going on?
Oh, Kate would know what to do.
No, because it's
her job.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. No, I actually minimized the video, which
but you know, like if there I am.
Yeah. And the raccoon is chewing on the wires, as she is wont to do. But so
you muted? Am I muted? Somebody's muted.
Oh, I'm muted.
Somehow. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm muted here. Let me wait. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was just, yeah. Anyway, whatever. Zoom. But yeah. So I what I was saying is, you know, so going back to Ash. So let me just continue with this real quick preface. So Eric started a few years ago. He started doing some home recordings, and then he actually got he installed Logic on his. You installed Logic, and you're like, oh, this has a lot of bells and whistles. Let me try this. No, it was a new laptop, right? That engendered the include adding the Logic. And so he was working on Bandcamp. Then he actually got a legitimate DAW. You know, it's the Apple. It's like the premier Apple DAW. Well, I guess Pro Tools is mostly considered, and like most Pro Tools rigs operate on Apple as well. But
it's Apple's proprietary, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but yeah, so Logic is that's exactly right. It's proprietary. So he starts working on Logic, and so now he's like, okay, well, I've got all these bells and whistles, I might as well start using them. So the second record, which is called "Look Out, Crocagator, Here Comes Octosquid." That's the correct name, right?
Believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just yeah. I don't have it right in front of me. And every now and again, I will invert the names or yeah. Like
it's the right idea anyway.
Yeah. So it's something like that. But that one. So then he was with that record. It's him kind of playing with all the production elements that he has access to with his DAW. You know, and
you know, like it's supposed to be kind of the opposite of Meadowlark. Like even in the name, like Meadowlark is a single word, and I wanted a big, huge, overblown title for the second one to like sort of show you that this is the other side of that coin now.
Yeah.
Like the first one was all like completely organic sounds. The second one is almost entirely completely artificial sounds. There's nary a viola to be heard on the second one.
Yeah. And Boone says, I have a song where I didn't want to say Ghost of Christmas Past, so I changed it to Summer's Past. Another ghost of... Hey, there's another ghost of summer, yeah. Boone. So, you know, and so then he finished the second record, which is absolutely amazing. And so I highly recommend checking all this stuff. Now, the great thing about Bandcamp is that, like, I know Eric resents this, but you can use it to your advantage. You can go and listen to his stuff before you buy them, because they're amazing records. And really, you know, it's funny. I think one of the things that I'm gonna, you know, I was an unintentional advocate for small indie rock bands in Los Angeles, just because I was hosting a very popular night at a place called Mr. T's Bowl. I was the booker, and I was the host, and so there were a lot of bands, like a lot of unsigned bands and some signed bands, and a lot of it got signed out of that little scene. You know, I was a de facto advocate for indie rock. You know, I was a de facto advocate for small bands and supporting those small bands, because if you don't support those small bands, their music will disappear, and a lot of their music did. You know, I mean, it wasn't intentional in the sense that I didn't think I was going to be an advocate. I just loved everybody's music, and I loved the scene, and I loved the community. So I didn't take responsibility for what I didn't go out and say, hey man, you know, like I see now that there is that people are getting paid $5,000, like people are signing record deals for $5,000, and that's fucking horseshit, you know. And that, you know, and then they don't see another dime, you know. Like if you want these people, if you like the music, if a record label likes a band and likes the music they put out, fucking try to get them a fucking way that they can make a living off of their music, so they can keep growing as a musician and find and eventually become a band that, you know, so already the premise right out the gate was kind of broken, and I saw that, but I wasn't vocal about it, you know. So now I'm feeling like, okay, well, maybe I just need to be a little bit more. I need to find a way to like build that into the Get Set Go message, because I haven't done that, you know, like because I've been struggling to just survive, you know. But anyway, so Eric had, you know, his music's fucking amazing. And just give it a spin. We're gonna play these last four songs of his newest record called Ash. It's thoughtful. It is obviously, as you can tell, like it's constructed. Like he builds a thing. There's not a single note that's an unintentional note, you know. And you know, and he's got a master's in viola performance. He did his own double postgraduate. He did sort of a doctoral program that he did for himself, because there's a composer, a German composer, and this German composer wrote 4 books on composition. And he was lauded as a viola person. Like like his primary instrument was a viola. And this fellow wrote 4 books in German, and only one, the very first one, was translated in English. So Eric literally went and translated the other 3 so he could study composition by this guy. So this is the kind of devotion to what he does. And again, and it's not, and he didn't do this because he's like, oh, I'm gonna make millions of dollars off this. He did it because he's like, this is something that interests me, and it's what I love to do, and so I'm gonna do it. And that is the fucking most pure. That's from my perspective. Like if every person that I hung, if all of the people in my life were just people that did that, I would be fucking like, hell yeah, man. Like it would not, yeah. And what is that, Bobcat?
I was gonna say, excellent.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so just as by way of qualification. So that's Eric. Let's keep. So this is track number 7. Now we've already done the first 6 tracks of the album. It's a 10-song album, so we've only have 4 tracks left to go. But this is called Never, 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 and then in parentheses, actually maybe this is my most uncharitable. So he has a song on his previous record, Look Out Crocagator, Here Comes Octosquid, and on that one there is a song called Me at My Most Uncharitable. And then this one is called Never, Never, Never. Actually, this might be me at my most uncharitable. So here we go. This is called Never, Never, Never. Oh wait, hold on. Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna bring up the music a bit. You're gonna have to let me know if it's too loud. I forgot to test this. Sorry about this.
Look at all you fancy fuckers doing fancy things, while the rest of us sorry suckers wait to kiss your rings. Look at all you lucky fuckers, humble, grateful, and blessed, leaving all of us out of luckers, chasing and impressed. Can't stop, gotta run, got a photo shoot, gonna crush, gonna kill, gonna execute. Red carpet after party on a gala night. Star fucker, star fucking for some limelight. Never been one of the cool kids, never fit in the way you did, never quite managed to put the pieces all together. My reaches exceeded my grasping, floundering, flailing and gasping, leaving behind nothing lasting whatsoever. Look at all your smiling faces, you auspicious few. Wish I felt something as deeply as you pretend you do. Show it off, big shot, you're a superstar. Treat yourself, drink it up at the open bar. Bow deep, smile big at the curtain call. Work hard, play hard, you deserve it all. Never been one of the first string, held it all in unto bursting, turning it into the worst thing, vaguely clever. In the right place at the wrong time, keep slipping off in the long climb. Never been ready for prime time whatsoever. Would have been nice to be a rising star, instead of a slowly crashing car. On your way up, spare a thought for me, stuck beneath my own debris. Look at all you pretty people flaunting all you do. Guess I'd probably do the same if I were you. How profoundly you must feel your feelings on parade. eyes are turned like Saint Cecilia, kneeling before the blade. Never got a taste of the glory, stuck here in my purgatory. Nice to know the choice was made for me, not now but never. No longer youthful or hungry, useless to all and to sundry. If the dream continues to shun me, well, whatever.
Hell yeah, man! Yeah, and that's easily one of my favorites on the record. And that's easily. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and and it's so funny because it's so funny because it is amazing, looking at how quickly you've progressed from Meadowlark to Ash. How skilled you've become at both the arrangements as well as the mixing, and just kind of like making a nice, like, there's a lot going on in that song, but there's still a ton of space, and that's a
that's one of the things that I learned with Logic, because they've got all those fucking samples of everything. For instance, those medieval hand drums and the toy piano and the like medieval flutes. So that was experimentation. And the way the composition study comes in is knowing what ranges those things have and what is going to be audible placed where, and so that's a lot of that's basically, like, I read at least 2 orchestration books in my little self-study, one of them by Berlioz, the other one by Samuel Adler, I think. But yeah, it's like, and that's what I like about having this type of program, is because obviously I don't have access to a symphony orchestra, but I know vaguely what sorts of sounds and what ranges of sounds those things would make, and I can sort of recreate them to make them interesting in this sort of like in the box context.
That's well, and it's funny. There is something awesome about taking sort of the expected sound and then just tinkering with it a little bit, or combining with other things and just creating a texture that is like singular, like that's something that I've been trying. It's been fun to like use, I'll use a synth bass and then I'll just play way up at the high end of the piano and just see, like, and sometimes the notes don't even play, but they do something that is in key that like if I'm hitting it rhythmically, it's registering something that is rhythmic, and it's in key, but it's certainly not the note that I'm playing. It's not the actual punctuated note that I'm playing. And I've been playing with those because it's just fun to like be like, oh yeah, this is, So but you do that, so you do that very, very well. You've got again, one of the things, in fact, I'm working on the very first full tilt like rock and roll record since so You've Ruined Your Life, So,
nice.
so it's just gonna be but so again, like, man, fucking guitars eat up so much goddamn frequency, and if you want them to be fucking felt, if you want them in your fucking face, they just gobble everything. Like if you want them felt, the only registers you have to work with other than that are the really high and the really low, because they just gobble up all the mid range. So it's really cool. The thing is just looking at how like the little kind of it's really, really beautifully, really well done, man. So
like a lot of it is just I always want, when I have a bridge, I always, just for my own to keep my own attention, I always wanted to do something different, so that I have to figure, like, in the context of the song, what the difference would be, and then usually it's something a little bit instrumentally wacky. So that one is all about, for instance, being a gigging musician, like a freelancer. It gets so fucking frustrating and infuriating if you let it, when people will post about like all the gigs they're doing on social media, and like they can be really self-serving and self-aggrandizing, and like, here's a picture of me with I don't know, like fucking Danny Elfman in these concerts that we just
Yeah.
did at Hollywood Bowl. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as a person who doesn't get called for those things, you just like look at those and be like,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
you.
no, 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 yeah, and the thing is, and what I love is the false humility. Like, oh, I'm so grateful that, and thank you. Like, I'm so blessed that, like, you're like, I'm like, no, you're just a fucking fucker. Like, you're a star fucker, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're a
Yeah.
fucking grasping star fucker, and just admit it. Like, don't pretend to be like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
like. But anyway, but no, but
Yeah.
that's
So that
also
is me leaning into like how mad that would make me if I let it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, no,
And
no, but it's great. That's great. It's great. No, yeah, and again, and that's not everybody. And there certainly are like the reason, I think the reason why like why Quasar and Gwen get so much work, and it's just because they're fucking genuinely just real sweethearts, you know. So certainly there are you know, people that are just like, you know, good at like networking and are also.
Yeah.
But for every one of them, there's like 15 others that are just fuck. I'm like, oh no, you're like, oh, I'm hanging out with my, oh, but my friends are not my friends right now because somebody like, you know, the person I want to fuck is in the room, you know, like, you know,
Right.
I want to star fuck is in the room. So
Yeah. But yeah, like again, I realize that is a not attractive quality,
yeah, no,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's not useful. Like it's not, but except if I can sublimate it via song.
Yeah, no, I get that, man. Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, and yeah, so in lyrically, again, like that's one of the things, and it's funny. Talk us through kind of your some of your influences recently in terms of your lyric writing, because I know that there have been some people that you've kind of done a deep dive on recently.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's always Stephen Sondheim first and
Yeah,
foremost.
yeah,
He's like, for me, as far as like pop lyric writing, he's just impeccable, just like as close to perfect as you can get. But like that said, also like the full spectrum of Broadway lyricists is immensely useful to go to because they find a way um, to say the thing that they want to say using the most interesting words possible and the most interesting rhyme schemes. Like for instance, like if you listen to the musical Hamilton, like all of that shit gets across exactly what he wants to get across, and also it's got like fucking 15,000 internal rhymes per
yeah, yeah,
stanza.
yeah,
Incredible. There's like the density that he's able to get across, and also be completely comprehensible.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's incredible to me. So I'll always like when I'm writing lyrics, I'll write a pass, you know, and I sort of edit as I go, but then I'll very intentionally do a pass where I'm like, are there more rhymes I can fit in here, or more wordplay, or
Yeah.
more like I don't know, anything like assonance or consonants or anything that makes
Yeah.
it sound more interesting on
Yeah.
top of what I'm already saying. So yeah, that's basically how I do.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. And it definitely works, and I love it, man. Yeah. It's really really great, and you know, and it's fun to like, it's, you know, I mean, obviously there have been, you know, that hasn't changed over the three albums, but it's becoming more. I think maybe just because you're getting better at Sue wanted to say hello.
Oh
Yeah, yeah. You're getting. It seems like maybe you're just getting better at just capturing all the sounds and then balancing them in a way where, you know, the thing is like, you know, yeah, they just, you know, they're a lot more pronounced and really really just it's really really fun. But
yeah,
let's
it's like with everything, it's I'm just getting better at my sort of technique of finding out where I want to go and working backwards from there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, so this next one is called "Last Walk in Lake Forest." So tell us about this one. No, again, and just to remind everybody. So this album is called Ash. It deals very much with death and the end of things, and it was based like just give us a little bit of this, like the kind of like the setup, so that the people that weren't here last time know what's.
So about
Yeah,
the record as a whole.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So in 2017, my dad died under pretty horrible circumstances, and that was kind of the thing that sort of allowed me to give myself license to start writing things in the first place. So like they've all kind of had a like a cloud of death behind them, like everything does, I suppose. Um, but especially this latest one, because Kate, my wife's dad, died of lung cancer right before the pandemic hit. Not too long after that, it was about a year ago, November-ish, 2021. Um, our cat Scooter died, who was just like the best friend
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And he especially kept me company in that pandemic period where Kate was up here and
Yeah.
I was by myself. And he and Misha kept me. Misha is still here. He's like right by my feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Scooter died, and he was just a shining light of a being.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Uh,
sure it was.
yeah, and that was like I was just fucking inconsolable for months and months and months. But so yeah, like this whole thing is a way for me to sort of process like decay and impermanence and all that stuff. Like the first song of the cycle, which is called Exit Interview, is
Which is
about.
amazing.
No, thanks. Yeah, it's about the last day that I spent with Scooter
Mm.
outside, sitting under our avocado tree, just like waiting for the person we were having to come and do the euthanasia because he wasn't having fun being alive anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but the idea of having an exit interview for a loved one came when Kate's dad was on his deathbed. I really I thought there should be that, like there should be something like that where
Yeah.
you get to have like an exit interview with a job where you sit that person down and you just tell them, look, you've been great. It's been so great having you around while you've been here. I want you to know that you've done really well. It's just the kind of thing that you would probably like to hear when you're on your way out. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
ones tell you like you've done a good job and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
yeah, 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 yeah. You did what great things for the company. You are irreplaceable, and yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly that kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah, like here's your 401k and your severance package and what have you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so yeah, so I just thought that would be a nice thing to have. But yeah,
yeah.
so last walk in Lake Forest, my dad lived in a subdivision in Louisville, Kentucky called Lake Forest. And he lived at 712 Lake Forest Parkway, which is a number that comes up in the song.
Mm.
Uh, the words are, I wrote it independently as a Shakespearean style sonnet. Um, and so it's basically about after my dad had died, I was waiting for the people who were going to come and like just like take away everything that needed to be thrown away from the house, which was a lot because the house had fucking mold all over the place. It was just garbage. So yeah, so I was waiting for the people with the truck who were going to come and clean out the place. And I had about an hour. So I walked around this little trail around the two Lake Forest lakes, which are these kind of like medium-sized man-made, like large ponds. So it was a walk that the family had taken like a lot of times at dusk, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do this walk again, knowing that it's probably going to be the last time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so yeah, this song this incredibly fucking heavy song is about that. The sequence 712 comes up a few different times in different ways. And yeah, oh, and when this comes up in the song too. When I was walking on the last half of the walk, there was a riding mower. Somebody was mowing along with a riding mower that was droning in B flat minor. So that's what the
oh,
violas do in the
oh,
song.
oh, yeah, oh, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, see, yeah, that's now, and how do you identify that was B flat minor? Did perfect pitch or
no, I had an app on my phone.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got
yeah,
a
yeah,
really good relative pitch, so
yeah.
I was able to identify the root as B flat via my phone app, and I knew that the other drone note was a D flat based on that. So
Oh, oh, awesome. Yeah, that's great.
yeah,
That's great.
so it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. So here you go. So this is Last Walk in Lake Forest. Listen for the 712. And here you
It starts with one of them. I'll give you that clue.
as stagnant as before, like eyes surprised they're seeing me again. Humidity's a cell without a door. The tree frog choirs the antipode of Zen, a tumble in the grass so long ago. Her name was Angela, or maybe not. Next to the tennis courts that was, and though our games are done there, I have not forgot. Once more around, then past suburban homes of four, past children fishing, errant geese, dog walkers, gazing balls and garden gnomes. I walk in search of just one moment's peace. A riding mower sings me on my way. Its joyless drone knows I'm not here to stay.
Hell yeah, man. So again, man, for me, it feels almost criminal that I'm looking at Eric's thing, and there's only three people have bought it. I know Stephen Coxwell I think picked it up just a couple of days ago. So I was saying that you were going to be showing up here, and I was like, and I was saying there's so much. I can't say it's thoughtless music, because it's not thoughtless music. Most people that make music are not thoughtless people. Like most musicians, but but the intention behind the music is to get people excited about hearing more music by that person. The thing is that's most people. When they make music, they're like yes, they're writing their songs because but the way they deliver it and what their primary focus, their primary goal is to get people excited about their music, so that other people, so they keep showing up and keep coming back and tapping the same artist for more music. That's not Eric's impulse. It's like so there's something from my perspective that just feels. Oh, by the way, we'll talk about this, but it's pure, man. It's fucking awesome.
Okay.
And it's just, yeah, anyway, it just breaks my heart that more people haven't listened to it and been like, fuck, dude, you need to listen to this record. And I of course, that's why I'm doing this right now, and hopefully you guys give it a spin, give his other stuff a spin. And then if you really dig it and you run across other people that also like a little bit of thought and a little bit of artistic intention behind their music, then you'd be like, hey man, check this guy out, because then what I guarantee will happen, if you have any music snob friends as you're talking about the music that you're all being snobby about, you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm into Eric Lee, and no one knows his music and it's better than all that shit, you know. And then you win and you trump and you're like, and they go, oh well, that's nonsense. And you're like, no, yeah, here, there you go. And then you can talk about so, but yeah, no. So and did you guys hear that? At the very end that the violas were doing that dissonance. It sounded exactly like a mower. It was like so fucking great. And now and the 712, the little piano figures and like so it's fucking. I mean, and I realized you don't. There's no vote. There's no or there's if there is a vocal effect, it's very very. Like it feels like a flat vocal, like which is in a way where the vocal stands out. Like when you start singing, it feels like you're disconnect. Like it's a little bit disconnect. Like for me, it feels like we are in your head as you're walking through Lake Forest. Like Lake Forest is happening, which is the song, and we're in your head, disconnected from Lake Forest. That's the way it feels.
That's actually very much. I appreciate you noticing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did. Yeah, I don't think I put any.
Yeah, it's a flat vocal. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted, and I don't think I usually double my vocals. I don't think I doubled that one because I wanted it to sound like it was coming from your own brain.
Yeah.
As close to that as I could figure out how to do.
Yeah, and it's funny. I because I hadn't listened to it on these headphones. They hadn't listened to it on headphones. I listened to it on my. I didn't pick up on that, but you know, but now listening with the headphones, I was like, oh wow, that's so yeah, it's very pronounced. It's really awesome. That's really really great.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so you know, so that's you know, and that's the thing is like you know, which is funny. Like for me, you know, recording is not. Like when you record a song, even if it's an amazing version of a song, that does not necessarily have to be the only version of that song. Like the thing is like music is meant to be interpreted and meant to be played and meant to be replayed. Like particularly, well, actually that's not. I mean, well, yeah, of course, all music is, but particularly songs, they're 3.5 minutes, they're 5 minutes, they're 7. Like even the Rick Wakefield stuff, it's like 7 or 8 or 12 minutes. Like you know, it's the kind of thing that you can sit down with an instrument and you can deliver it. You know, and as such, it's easy to capture new renditions and new versions and do new things. And so it's always. You know, and because of that, from my perspective, it feels like often people don't realize the kind of work that goes into capturing a particular rendition of a song. You know, and of course, I don't think anybody could listen to that song right there and be like, oh yeah, Eric did not spend time on this song. You know, but yeah. But even so, the thing is that like, you know, hearing the fact that he built the 712 actually into the music itself, the fact that he heard a lawnmower and heard that it was a double stop, it was 2 notes laid over each other, and he's like, what? And he's like, that's one of them is in B. What's the other one? You know, like, and was able to identify that's in B flat minor, and then added that to the song. Like I mean, that's some pretty fucking magical stuff, you know. And I'm 100% certain that there are other bands that do the same thing, and that there are, but those other bands that do that kind of stuff, they are probably 4 or 5. I mean, all human beings, we're you know what, 10 degrees of separation at tops, you know, like, but the thing is, but they're far enough away that you don't have access to them. You can't reach out. You can't be like, hey man, I really dig this. But the thing is, with Eric, you can. You know, the thing is like, and on top of that, it's thoughtful, beautiful, awesome, amazing music. So.
Well, thank you. And as with everything that I do, like it's with the idea that this is something specific that I wanted to express in the best way that I knew how. And if it was relatable to anybody else, then that's great. That's the whole the whole, like Kurt Vonnegut says, that's the whole point of art is saying like, this is a thing that I feel. And if you feel this too, then we're not alone.
And that's exactly right. In fact, that's from my perspective, like that's all it is. It's just saying, hey, do what am I going through? Does it resemble what you're going through? And if it does, then we at least know that we're together. That we are hurtling through space at umpteen thousands of miles per hour, going God knows where on a fucking rock in some backwater of space, and but we're doing it together, and we're
maybe we're feeling this particular thing at the same time, and if we are, then cool, then that is meaningful to know that like you don't have to suffer that particular thing by yourself.
Yeah, amen. So now talk to us about This Is the Sound, which is funny.
Okay.
I on my new record I've got a song called The Sound.
Oh
yeah. So
yeah, I like that one. This was very much. I put this here because it's like the least serious song on the record.
Oh, okay.
It's still dark because it's like the refrain is still. It's still about, the crux of the song is like any sound that you hear anywhere means somebody's dream has just died. Like an extension of the every time a bell.
Angel, yeah.
No, this is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. And it's basically every sound. And I conceptualized it, I believe, on my way walking back from having seen Edgar Wright's movie about Sparks, the Sparks Brothers.
Oh yeah. Oh cool.
So I not only thought of the idea, but also the style that I wanted to do it in on that walk back. I get so many fucking ideas on walks. But yeah, so I wanted it to sound like fun and synthy and not terribly serious, but also like a pretty depressing message if you really parse it, but also like make it sound as irreverent as I could.
Yeah, awesome.
Like in the vein of like a Sparks song, for instance.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Well, all right. Let's give it a shot. This is called This Is the Sound. Here we go.
Thank you from behind the screen. A buzz from an automated teller machine. Leaf blower drones on, someone's mowing their lawn. 1 second it's here, in another it's gone. A politician lies, a coyote cries. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. Squawking parrots overhead. The gurgle of water in a riverbed. Soft purr of a cat, loud buzz of a gnat. Pop, this is a Cadillac, tire goes flat. If you're hearing this, I sympathize. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. Whine of a dentist drill, skirt steak sizzling on a grill, scratching as a nail is filed, laughter of an unruly child, squishing as a cell divides, lamentations of jilted brides, teeth crunch into curly fries, and any other noise besides. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies. This is the sound that it makes when a dream dies.
Oh yeah, that's so great, man. Oh, I was going to say, there's not that many. I can't I don't think I've ever heard the word antipode used as a lyric ever before. So that's great. You know, like
That's why I said that instead of opposite, which also would have fit, but I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
nah.
yeah. No, yeah, that's so great. Yeah, that's I too have a couple songs that use a word that people go like, they're like, I didn't even know what that word means, and now I do, and I'm like, there you go, that's my gift to you.
Yeah, words are fucking fun.
Yeah,
Words
yeah,
are
no, yeah. I mean, well, and that's the thing is like it's like, from my perspective, like if you've got the perfect word, if it's the most incisive, just drilled down, most perfect word, why not use that word? You know. Yeah. And if people don't know what it means, then you use it, and they go, and then either they understand it from context, which is what most like. Mm-hmm. Most people don't ever go, wait, what does that word mean? You know, which is really funny. It's really funny when I use an $11 word, and I'll see I'll just see people go. I'll just see them be like, I don't know exactly what Mike's saying right now, but I'm just gonna pretend, or but the ones where I'm like, my hat's off to you is when someone goes, oh, I don't know what does that word mean? Like, I'm like, that's because that takes a lot of fucking courage to be like, I don't know. I speak I spent my whole life speaking the English language, but I don't know that word,
and there are hundreds of thousands of them, and you only ever really know a fraction.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. Like, there's no way anybody can know all the words. So if you run across a word you don't know, just ask, like, what is it? And so yeah, that's great. But I do love that. But the thing is I really do love this is the sound, the idea behind this is the sound, because it's funny.
I just wanted to say that I'm a nerd. And I'm here tonight to stand up for the rights of other nerds.
There is a, that totally trained, that derailed my thought. No, in regards to, I'm circling it. Talking about lyrics. Oh, it's gone. It's gone forever. I was about to say something that was gonna bring us. It was gonna be the germinating seed of universal peace, not only on Earth but the entire universe. And I'm sorry I missed it. God.
That's okay. We don't deserve it anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, like for an example, like, and I've done this ever since I was a kid. Like, I have I mean, I didn't do this as a kid because it involves a cell phone, but like I have a tab open. Like, every time I'm reading something, I don't know what the word is, I'll look it up on Merriam-Webster.com, and I'll just leave that open so I can just go back. Like I'm reading James Joyce or fucking Gunter Grass, and like every time something comes up, like, what the fuck is that? Even if it's like something I lack historical context for, I'll just be like, I want to look that up and know what it means.
It's funny. I actually have a vocabulary list that I keep on my desktop. Whenever I'm reading or whenever I'm listening to a book and I encounter a word I don't know, I just add it to the list, And then, but I know that I will never learn it. I will never actually utilize it unless I build it into my average daily lexicon. So what I do is I try to force myself to use it in context. I try to put myself in a situation where I can use that word, and I'll try to use it like 2 or 3 times just so what happens is like, because there's so many of them, often they don't really stick. But then when I hear them use, I'm like, oh, I love that word, and I do know what that means, and so I have to there has to be some it has to be like I have to do the imprinting, and then it has to be reflected back, and then I go, I've got and then I'm like, oh yeah, I've captured it, so yeah,
that's where it really sticks.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? This is an 80s movie with John Candy. Did you ever see Who's Harry Crumb?
Yeah, I love Who's Harry Crumb. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of that movie is he's got, like, somebody gave him the word of the day calendar or whatever. Yeah. And his word of the day is philanderer. Someone who engages
with philodendron or something. Does he?
Yeah. Frivolously and casually. And then the woman whose husband that he's photographing, like, with an affair or whatever, comes in, and he describes her. He describes him as like, yes, your husband is quite the philodendron.
That's so good.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I haven't either. I used to watch it all the fucking time.
Is that the one where there's a billboard of his face that ends up somewhere
Oh, I think it does. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
there's at some point in time that that's so weird. I haven't thought about that movie in 1,000 years, but it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's really bizarre. My memory, I think, because I've been playing and writing music so much, and like I don't know how to explain it, but my memory is suddenly pulling things out of fucking nowhere. I'll be like, oh yeah, I do remember that, and and I'll come with some really granular details, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was this and this and that, and they're like, how are you? And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm remembering this,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's great when that happens. I love that, like a little time traveler gift from your own brain.
yeah, right. Yeah, hey, thank you. Which is so funny. The more I think about that, because again, so I do find I feel like on one level I'm in early stages of dementia, because there's lots of things that for me I care about, but I don't think they should be important in my life, except for the fact that they are important, like paying
Mhm.
bills or doing certain chores or like to do things that I really don't want to do. Sometimes I will be like, I have to take care of that right now. I have to literally take care of that right now, and I'll walk down the stairs. And then I'll be like, "What the fuck was I doing?" And I'm like, obviously I'm going insane, but at the same time, I will find myself thinking of like a song that I wrote like 25 years ago, and I'm like, "How'd that song go?" And I was like,
Yeah.
and I'll just start singing the lyrics. I'm like, motherfucker, so yeah. So it must be the decay in my brain is happening in certain areas, and maybe the brain cells are running away from the decay and packing themselves into the music portion of my brain. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they're definitely like concentrating themselves in other. Yeah, I will get that too. Like out of nowhere, a line of T.S. Eliot will pop right into my head. Perfect recall. It's a poem that I haven't read for a decade. But then I'll be talking to a friend at brunch and won't be able to think of the name, like Lorraine Newman.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like
you're like,
somebody
I see her. I see, yeah, you're like I see her face.
whose
Yeah,
cone head in the sketches.
yeah. And you're like, it's an
She
L
fucking
name. It's an L name. I know it's an
L.
L name. Or maybe it's an M name. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
I do that all the time. And yeah, it's so crazy, man. I
yeah.
guess.
It's insane that like the stuff that my brain wants to remember at whatever particular time it wants to remember it or not.
Yeah. All right, but okay, but we're getting. I don't want to go over long, because so this okay so this title this is the last song. This is Eric's album Ash, his third record. This is the last song on that album. And if you guys know the unbearable lightness of being, this is Eric's response to that. It's called the tolerable heaviness of non-existence, and the tolerable heaviness of so talk about that. What prompted this song?
So I thought of the name of the song before I actually, well, that's not true. I had the song, I was writing the song. I just didn't know that was going to be the name.
Yeah.
But it was one of those weird things that popped into my brain. Unbidden was The Unbearable Lightness of Being, which by the way, I've never read.
Yeah.
But then I was like, what's the exact opposite of that? The tolerable heaviness of non-existence,
Yeah.
which is really a pretty good encapsulation of what like stoicism is. It's like
Yeah, sure.
it's like you know this is all finite. You know it's going to end. Everybody knows that all the time. It's heavy. It's like the heaviness of non-existence, but we all just sort of walk around shouldering that all the time. So
Yep.
it's like, so yeah. So this one is kind of the mission statement of the album of just like a kind of a metaphorical like zooming out on existence of like, yeah, that we're only here for a little tiny bit of time, and how do we deal with it?
It's really funny. Just to elaborate on that idea real quick. It's funny because I walk a whole bunch. I try to walk between 7 and 12 miles a day. So I'm constantly outside and walking, and so there's dead squirrels, and there's there's dead insects, and there's I'm constantly, so I realize, and as I walk, so as I walk, if I see, I'm often looking at the ground I'm walking on. If I see an insect, I will like adjust my feet to avoid crushing the insects. If I see like a trail of ants, like, you know, because
Yeah, I do the same.
what's that?
I do the same.
Yeah, and it's crazy, you know. And the thing is like, and certainly, like I'm not earning any brownie points. Like I'm not like I don't believe in anything like a karma. But I'm like, well, these things like I know they want to live. Like if I went and tried killing them, they would try to escape. So they want to live, and that makes us connected because I too want to live, you know. And so I'm like, well, then I should at least respect that. But it's so crazy how insouciant so many people can be. Like I've seen people driving, you know, and there's a squirrel and he's out in the middle of the road and he's not certain if he wants to go forward or backwards, and he's freaking out and he doesn't know where he wants to go, and there's two cars coming, and obviously the drivers can see this fucking squirrel, and they're like, nah, I don't really want to slow down or like give this squirrel a chance to escape. Fuck it. And I've just seen people just fucking roll right. I'm like, that's really like you couldn't apply the brake for like 6 seconds and just let the fucking squirrel escape. Like your life is so full of things that need to be taken care of. And I was like, that's so crazy to me, you know, like, so anyway,
Yeah, that's exactly how I think of it. Like I'm not going to fucking go out of my way to do harm or like if it occurs to me, I might as well try and take it easy on the poor.
Yeah, right. You know, okay, if I have to slow down a little bit, if I have to inconvenience myself to live on the side of I think that life is important. All right, I'm willing to do that. You know, and so from my perspective, you know, it seems to me that you know, that it's just people running around living unexamined lives, and I think the reason why, which is funny because I was talking about apologizing, which is something I've a large number of friends that will never apologize, you know, and often what happens is they'll do some significant harm. And I'll be like, what the fuck, dude? And then what they'll do is they'll just disappear from my life for 4 months. And then when they show up, nothing's happened. Hey man, how you doing? It's good. Like, and I'm like, that's not that it's not a free pass. I mean, you know, it's so you know, and it's so crazy to me, you know, but I realized that like if you get far enough along without taking ownership of your side of the street of all the damage you've done, then at some point in time, like looking back and looking at yourself and taking ownership of who you are must be fucking a nightmare. You know, like it must be fucking scary as fuck, you know?
Or at least I hope that it is, because we've gone a real long ways in the direction of never own up to anything.
Yeah.
Like admitting wrongdoing in any capacity equals weakness or.
I mean, that's the Donald Trump perspective. You know, the thing is that like, you know, like that you can do like, you know, like you can do no wrong. There is nothing, you've never done any wrong. You're always right. You're like, the thing is like that's just the idea of thinking that is crazy to me. Like really, like that just that idea of trying to shoulder that, trying to walk around with that perspective would be fucking exhausting. Like no wonder people die in their fucking 50s. It's like you're just walking around carrying all this fucking like bullshit. Like that's
I mean, I hope that bullshit is exhausting, because if it's not, that is a whole different problem entirely.
Yes. So, I mean, so certainly, I'm 100% certain that there are people on this planet Earth that have no capacity for introspection, don't care at all, and you know, and it doesn't matter, and that's, and you know, and maybe, and really truthfully, maybe that makes their lives awesome, except for the fact that it also, from my perspective, seems to me that it would make it difficult to form substantive connections with anything, right? With anything, because you need to be able to look at something holistically. You need to be able to see the good and the bad in things to be able to fully appreciate them, right? Otherwise, you're just seeing, like, you know, you can't look at what's her name from Breakfast at Tiffany's. You can't look at
Audrey Hepburn.
You can't look at Audrey Hepburn and be like, oh, she's a forever beauty without seeing her when you like the reason why she's such a pronounced presence is because she was beautiful in person and in character her whole life, you know, and so
cut super fucking short.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course. But the thing is, like, so, yeah. Anyway, but
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it's that lack of introspection, for instance, like that's what killed my dad, essentially.
really, yeah.
It was that. Yeah, it was that.
Yeah, mine too. Which is heartbreaking. The thing, my dad he. I know you and I've talked about this. He had not called me since I was 22 years old.
Right.
And
yeah.
then I was on a stream about 2 years ago, and I'm streaming and playing music, and I get a call. I'm like, oh my God. And it was my dad. My dad, the first time he had called me in like 20 years, and I'm like, I have to go because my dad, who hasn't called me since I was 22 years old, is, and he called, and he was just fucking flat out drunk, hardcore drunk. But it was still nice to talk to him, and it was great. And I was like, oh man, this is like, and then he called every 3 or 4 months after that, but he was fucking mind-blowingly drunk every single time, and I realized that, like, to me, it felt like he was trying to, like, bridge the gap that had happened over those, that what, 27 years or whatever it was. But even so, the thing is that, like, yeah, and I did, of course, and I didn't make it easy on him. I mean, of course, I was friendly with him, but I didn't do any of the reaching. I didn't hey, let's have a substantive conversation, because I can't have a substantive conversation with somebody that's fucking rip roaring drunk. So,
yeah. Well, and that's, yeah, I've gotten those phone calls before too, and that's why too. I like, there's something in them that realizes what they've done, and realizes that by refusing to introspect, like, they have just broken with reality on it.
Yeah.
Like, they hung their reality on a certain set of parameters that did not hold up, and that broke them. And so re-engaging, or trying to re-engage with that reality, obviously you've got to be altered in some way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. In fact, I think that's the thing, is it when you live with that much regret and that much pain and that much and eventually you hit a point where everything around you reminds you of that, like you're like conversations and movies and things, like, and so you end up having to operate with fucking blinders, and you're just walking around, like, and so the only way you can take those blinders off is you get really, really fucked up, and then you're like, oh, this is great. I'm like, what was I worried? I can talk about all this stuff, and no, like, and I definitely have had. So since that time, like, I'd had a couple like deep conversations where he was drunk, and he's like, no, you're, like, and of course, and he was rose tinted glassing everything, and I'm like, all right, well, that's not the reality, but hey, I'm happy that you're comfortable with that,
Yeah, I mean, it's at a certain point you just got to be like, okay, I mean, it's not going to help anybody for me to object to any of this. So
yeah.
So yeah, you go right ahead.
Yeah, right. Okay, so here we go. So yeah, squirrels driving human smashing cars. This is the tolerable heaviness of non-existence, and you're absolutely right. Someone silly, I knew he did. And I did, and I would have been excited to, like, actually have a heart to heart. My sister ended up having a heart to heart with him, where she was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I'd waited 45 or 46 years, or however, like, to have this conversation, but I don't think my dad and I think that it would have been too difficult, like, because for me, he disappeared when I was 12,
Yeah.
And so, and before that, he was my fucking superhero. He was ultra present in my life. And then at 12, he just completely disappeared, And then, of course, my mom, not really knowing what to do with the boy, I think she was like, my dad was like my person. And then when my dad left, my mom was like, well, I can't be your person. So my mom was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stand away. And so I'm like, oh, great. I lost both parents. Awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is the tolerable heaviness of non-existence. Let's give this a spin.
Your heart stops, a vein pops, you're poisoned by eye drops, impaled on broken glass. choking gas. You'll never know when you're gonna go centenarian or embryo. It's on its way now. The only thing that you can do is buckle down and muddle through the best you know how. What the hell is any of this? There's nothing special inside you. You may as well embrace the abyss. What could you do if you tried to? Cirrhosis, necrosis, deep vein thrombosis, beaten with a crowbar, eaten by a jaguar. You'll never know when you're gonna go centenarian or embryo. It's on its way now. The die is cast, the cards are drawn, so stick it out and struggle on the best you know how. What the hell is any of this? There's nothing special inside you. You may as well embrace the abyss. What could you do if you tried to? Yourself is just a rental with no option to buy. Its duration's coincidental, no exemptions apply. So if there's something monumental you've been meaning to try, best get to it now. Stroking or seizing a boa constrictor selects you for squeezing. You'll never know when you're gonna go centenarian or embryo. It's on its way now. The only thing that you can do is buckle down and muddle through the best you know how. What the hell is any of this? There's nothing special inside you. You may as well embrace the abyss. What could you do if you tried to? If you tried to.
God damn, man. Yeah. See, so that's what I'm saying, guys. Yes, this is Eric's music. And you know, and it is criminally underappreciated.
Well, thank you.
You know, and so, you know, I'm only one person you know, and I can't, and I'm, and apparently my influence over the planet Earth is diminishing on a daily basis. But that's okay because fuck it. The thing is that like I'm not really into trying to sell people that don't want the kind of stuff that I'm into to be in. I don't want people that I don't want people that aren't going to be able to be into the kind of stuff that I'm into to be into the stuff I'm into, you know? And so that's okay. So, but the thing is that like, but I do feel that I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of people that hang out in my stream and I have a lot of people that know and that I know that I know love music and love good music and they, and I can't reach out to all of them and I can't say, hey man, you should check out this album. But the thing is I can let a few people know. And, you know, and if you guys can let a few people know and this is the way, I mean, this is the way word of mouth works, right? But the thing is you have to talk about it. And that's the one thing that I think most people don't do is they don't go, hey, I just found something really awesome. You should check it out, you know? And
Lord knows I don't.
What's it? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Right. And the thing is and there is, and it does like, you know, there's nothing more more powerful than saying to somebody, hey, this is something I really dig. And then them checking it out and then being like, dude, you're fucking right. This is fucking awesome. There's something in that strengthens the friendship, that strengthens your excitement for the thing. You know, like all it does is just build, you know, like it's a brick in a place where our lives are mostly predicated on fucking ephemeral chaos, you know, when you say, hey, I really dig this, and that person goes, oh, let me check it out, and they do they're taking, they're like, okay, and then they dig it and they go, I like that too, you know. It's the things, it's how we create the things that matter, you know. And the thing is that like, you know, and there is, and the, you know, and it's even more particularly super important when you're dealing with stuff at this level, because the thing is that because they are small flames, you know, and they do blow out forever, you know, and I know thousands of musicians, and that's not a joke. That's not a prevarication. That's not an exaggeration. I know thousands of musicians that no longer make music, that made beautiful music, that made amazing music, that made awesome, powerful, wonderful music that I love to fucking listen to and sing along to and jump along to. I would literally, like, I'd stand right up in front of the fucking stage and just fucking pogo all night long. And most of those musicians no longer make music, you know. So I know what I'm talking about. I know that these flames, they go out very real quickly if you don't nurture them, you know, so again, you know, maybe Eric's music didn't resonate with you tonight. You know, it did with me, but you know, but if it didn't, that's fine. But if it did, then it's up to you to tend that flame. You know, but anyway,
like given my entire thing is based on like if it doesn't resonate with you, I don't care.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I you know, but again, you know, it's funny because for me, that is my default state. But for me, that is my it's a defense. It's an armored thing. The thing is because for me, like, you know, because I it boggles my mind when I play a song, even with some of my weirder songs, when I play a song and people don't like it, because I'm like because it's like. Because I've got a pretty decent ear for melody, and I've got a pretty decent ear for lyrics, and I've spent a long time doing this, and so it's weird. Like, so it's always weird to me when people show up, like when I'm playing songs and people are like, oh, I really like this one. Like all the other, like, you know, like it's so strange. Do you think there's an element of selfishness in the listener who doesn't want to share? No. I mean, that's in fact it's really funny, Manchita. That actually, but I do. And let's talk about this real quick. So Manchita just said, do you think there's an element of selfishness in the listener who doesn't want to share their jewel that they have found? And it's really funny. So when Ordinary World came out, which is the album that kind of put us on the map, you know, it was Get Set Go's second record, and we were doing pretty well, but we weren't like, we were the bands that were of our exact same period of release, right? So we really, when Ordinary World came out, Steven Sufjan's Illinois had come out, the Arcade Fire's very first album, Funeral, had come out. there are a few others. I'm not remembering them right now, but there were. So we were part of this really interesting class of music, right? And it was this weird, and it was one of the cool things about this time is that all of these bands had like interesting instrumentation, right? So we had the viola and like there were each band had cool and interesting arrangements to their music, So I thought that we were part of this new class and that we were going to be achieving the same levels of success that it seemed like everybody was primed to achieve, And so like a year later when we are still kind of like we're certainly bigger than we were, but we're still kind of struggling. Like I'm watching the Arcade Fire become what the Arcade Fire is now, and I'm watching Sufjan Stevens become what Sufjan Stevens is now, and I'm watching all these people become like rock stars, and I'm like, and so I wrote I was like, hey, like what's like why are people not sharing the music? Like it seems to me like so I just posted, I think it was I think I posted this on MySpace. I was like, why, it's really weird. Like, it seems to me that like people, I know people are into the music, and I certainly like, I know that my MySpace people, I see you guys reading my blogs. I see you guys like listening to the music. Like, why does it seem like people aren't sharing the band? And this girl responded and she was like, Mike, I'm into a lot of like small, cool indie bands. And all of them, I turn all my friends onto. But you, Get Set Go, is my band. It's my and I don't want to share it with anybody because it's my band, And I was like, and so on one level, I was like, that makes perfect sense. And on another level, I'm like, you are fucking killing us. You are going to relegate us to the fucking trash heap of fucking anything. Yeah, that's exactly, love to death. Yeah, that's exactly So from my perspective, the thing is, but this is I think this is how you thread that needle. This is from my perspective. So you don't share it with everybody, but share it with the people that you think, share it with share it with people that you feel are going to be able to treat the music with the same kind of reverence and the same kind of love that you're offering, And so the thing is, so if you really do love something, you can curate who you share it with, but just share it, because otherwise it disappears, Otherwise it goes away, or otherwise what happens is it just it stops getting offered until that person's well gone, like the Emily Dickinsons and the Van Goghs of the world, as interesting and as exciting as those stories might be from a romantic perspective, that's fucking terrible that people couldn't sit down and be like, hey, Van Gogh, why did you do what you do? And how do you paint the way you paint? And what is like, is this, like, are you just like, like the fact that we weren't able to have that conversation, the fact that we couldn't get any of his words on paper that like other than the letters he wrote to his fucking brother, like that we couldn't talk, that we couldn't, anyway, yeah, it just breaks my heart, and so anyway, so that's my case for digging Eric's stuff, sharing it with your friends, and hopefully, yeah, I know you're working on new stuff, right, man? You've got some new things.
I'm in the conceptualizing stages of new stuff. I know vaguely what I want to do. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get there yet, but I think that that this next cycle is going to be, as close as I can make it, just one viola and one voice.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm going to strip it way the fuck back for this one.
Yeah, cool.
It was an experiment.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that yeah, it's really funny. If it was anybody else, I would be like, oh, okay, well, let me hear that. I will, I'll give it a listen. But knowing you, I'm 100% certain that it'll be compelling, and it'll be, that there will be all sorts of like really awesome, like you'll be harmonizing with you'll be doing things that will be creating all sorts of like interesting new sonic things that I've never heard, even though there's just two voices, two voices.
Yeah, I'll see what I can come up with. I also reserve the right at this stage to break my own rules. So who knows?
Yeah, of course. But all I'm saying is like, yeah, it's interesting for me because it's like, yeah, if other people that I knew were that played string instruments, the only other person I know that actually, other than Kate, the only person that's a friend of mine that I know plays a stringed instrument, that plays it earnestly, is a friend of ours, friend of Boone's. Her name is Violinda, and she's amazing. She uses a looping pedal and does a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. But everybody else I know that plays stringed instruments, they mostly use them as pads, you know. So if they were like, yeah, like if they were to say the same thing that you just said, I'd be like, oh, really? Yeah, well, that'll be yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of more along the lines of I like the viola will be doing something like what it does in a Bach suite, and then there will also be a vocal line on top of that.
Yeah.
Like it'll be a viola piece and a voice. Like I said, early conceptual stages, and I think I want it to be about Montana, where I grew up. But yeah,
Cool.
so a lot of research.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So and I guess that makes sense because Montana is where you got the viola, and that's, you know, and that's it's sort of like, it's sort of, yeah, that makes sense. It's sort of like that was your first like intense foray into taking music seriously. You know, was with a viola in Montana. So. That
And
makes sense,
I've
yeah.
always felt very, very connected to that state, even though I've got a lot of problems with it. It's another circle to be squared. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, cool, awesome. All right, well, all right. So I'm gonna go because I actually have to get some more work done, and I also need to get some. I have about another 5 miles to walk today. So,
You probably have another
but-
10 songs to write.
but yeah, man. So that's Eric's stuff. I feel large modern record stores have a part to play in that state too, Mike. I find them very sterile and clinical these days. Individual headphone booths to listen to the record you're going to buy. No one gets to hear it anymore. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, you know. To me, I think that humanity has a very broken relationship with music, and I think that because we are, you know, and I think it started from the very inception of the music industry, right? The thing is that like back when they were first finding artists to record, because it was built. This is just my theorizing. This is not predicated on anything like, but I do spend a lot of time thinking about this. Because I think it was predicated on the exploitation of people, right? So they'd be like, "Hey, dude, that's a great song. I'll give you, you know, $5." Which back, you know, in the 1910s or 1900s or like 1890, like, you know, back when recording was first happening, you know, like a few bucks was actually a significant payday, you know. And these people are like, and they don't, and again, and there's no real. They don't understand ownership of a song. You know, they don't see how it can be monetized. They don't see the kind of like, so people are selling off their music and be like, here you go, you've got all the rights. And they're like, you know, because it started from a perspective of exploitation, because it didn't start from the perspective of let's partner up and let's make something awesome. The thing is, I believe that little germinating seed that started the music business still continues to this day to poison everything, you know, and poison our perspective. What, go ahead.
That happened before that with the advent of music publishing.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. I've got, yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
18th century, probably.
Yeah.
When music publishing started to be a thing.
Yeah, you know, and really true. I mean, and really truthfully, if you look at it, I mean, the thing is that like, unless you, which is anyway, because I'm 100% certain that if we went back as far as we could and tracked the way people interacted with musicians, I think this is the reason why. Because musicians will make music regardless. Like the thing is like, you know, like it's when you find yourself compelled to make music, you know, when you find, at least for me, when I realized, oh, I don't need a therapist. I don't need to, like, even though I was drowning myself in drugs and alcohol and like I was actively killing myself. I also had, like, I was buoyed by the music. Like, the thing is as deep as I went, you know, the music was there to kind of keep me around, you know, you know, like people, like, you know, so I think that there is this weird thing where people are like, oh, well, you're just gonna make it anyways, and all you're doing is you're just playing, right? Like, really, does playing have any value? Like, I play golf. Does that mean I get, like, you know? And so I think the whole language behind, like, I just think all of it is just built on, in a way that where we're just, intrinsically built to disrespect kind of like the work, the actual work that goes into music, you know?
I've said this before, but like the entire move to like rebrand art as content.
Yeah.
That is backed by the people who want to sell you the fucking container.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. In fact, that's why I fucking can't abide. I will never. I don't ever. I've never said I'm a content creator. I don't ever I can't, because it's fucking horseshit. And what that does is that lumps me in with some guy that's like, hey guys, I'm on TikTok. Like really, like so the fucking, you know, the fucking 20,000 hours of poorly practiced time I've spent on my goddamn instrument is the same as, hey, look at me, guys. Hey, it's you know, like, fuck that. You know, like, fuck that noise, you know? And
it is
so,
gross as hell.
What's that?
It is gross as hell.
Yeah. And it just, you know, and so it just, you know, so it's not and just the idea of content being, content is the thing that's like, oh, it's something to fucking waste your precious minutes on so you can get from this moment to the next moment. Like, that's fucking, that is not what I do. So you can suck a dick, you know? How much is this container? Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so we'll have to, so we should definitely do this. We should definitely do this again. I mean, even if, you know, maybe we can just go back and talk about your other previous records, or you know what we could do if you want. Let's find a record that we both love that we can talk about, and we can dig into it.
That'd be fun.
What we can do is we can reach out. If you know why don't we reach out? Why don't we do music of musicians we actually know, so that way we can reach out to them and get their permission, so we can actually do it here on Twitch without them.
That'd be good.
Down. Yeah.
I like that idea.
We could do like a Mike Viola record, or maybe an Arlo record, or a Secret Powers album, or something like that, or a Worm Stew thing. What's that?
Oh yeah, I just played with Mike in LA, and I also just did, for his birthday, I just did a cover of a Worm Stew song.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, either one of those would be fucking awesome.
Oh shit! You know what? In fact, Teresa, I totally forgot about that. Teresa reached out to me to ask me to cover one of his songs, and whatever. I've been crazy busy.
It's okay. I did too.
Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna claim one of yours.
Yeah.
one of your performances is yeah. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna go, everybody. I'm gonna run my credits just because that's what I do. And and then we'll do this again. Eric and I will do this again at some point in maybe in the next month. And you guys so I probably won't see you all until after the new year. So have a absolutely wonderful new year. And yeah, man. Adios. And thanks, Eric. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. My pleasure, as always.
Awesome. All right, here we go. Give me 1 second. Dun dun dun. Wait for it. And there we go.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. I forgot about credits. Yeah, sure.